Greetings, friends. Steven here. With me today is my new co-host, a longtime OG friend of mine, who's also named Steven. Hello, Steven. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
I'm very
nice
good.
to see you.
And thank you for participating in my. It's kind of a casual list. We've been going over this. There's a lot of games we want to talk about. But like I said, this is sort of our casual top 10 Nintendo games list. So you're actually getting
Old school Nintendo game.
of course, original 8-bit Nintendo. This is before Super Nintendo. That's a completely different list. That'll be a very good list, but we're not ready for that yet. That's a super list. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, 8-bit NES Nintendo Entertainment System. So we've each got 10 games I want to talk about. We've got some shout-out games that we weren't quite feeling or was quite up to par. But of course, they're all amazing games, and definitely check out every damn game we're going to talk about.
Damn right.
Now, like some of these I've even just bought recently for fans of my channel. There you'll have seen some of my Gamer Hall episodes where I've talked about some of the games I recently picked up, and we'll be seeing more than a few of those in this episode here. So let's get to it. So Steven, you can start us off. Hit us with your number 10.
My number 10 would have to be the first Batman game. Yeah. I just generally remember playing that game, and it for its time it did a lot of cool stuff that I hadn't seen in Nintendo. I mean, you could climb walls by bouncing Batman back and forth from one end of the wall to the other, and he would climb up to different levels on the screen. Everything that I remember, the graphics at the time, because like Steve said, we did grow up in that generation, and that was what it was about for us.
Oh yeah, state-of-the-art graphics for the time.
Absolutely.
Even by now, like I've been doing a lot of research on pixel art, and man, even the NES games had a lot of work to, because it's very small, but each thing had to be drawn in there, each shading.
Absolutely.
I mean, and that game actually looked pretty sweet. What I liked about that was that the Gotham City backdrop, like it was, the whole game is pretty much black except for the parts that they chose to make it
illuminate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just was a game that just stuck into my mind. As soon as that, you talked to me about putting a top 10 list together, I mean, that had to be on it.
Oh yeah, so it's not on my list, but it is definitely a shout out. I was actually just playing this Batman game on my retro entertainment system, which is my aftermarket Nintendo, which doesn't work with some games, including Super C, which is very unfortunate. So I'm definitely gonna have to fix my proper Nintendo up. But yeah, Batman,
cool.
Great music, punch things and they exploded, so it's kind of funny.
You could throw batarangs,
Yeah.
which was awesome. And things just blew up. It's just all around just a cool game.
Yeah, no doubt. Good music too. It's really good.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm gonna jump to my top or number 10 game. Now, because like I said, I've been collecting these a lot. I've got them all right here. You can't look. It's gonna be a secret. Now, I haven't really been feeling the Zelda vibe as of late, but I felt it would be remiss of me to not include at least one Zelda game. So I'm gonna go with the original Legend of Zelda, shiny gold card, like a boss.
Excellent.
Which I was actually cleaning out last night, and the inside is black. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Cool.
Well, yeah, Zelda. I mean, like my work is already done. All I have to say is Legend of Zelda, and they know. Let's see. Great music. We know that much. Themes that have lasted since this came out in what, like 85 or something.
Mm-hmm.
You could save your game, which is kind of a big thing, at least back then.
Totally was a big thing.
Like we grew up in the generation where you would need a pen and paper pretty much at all times. You could write passwords down.
And if you screwed up the password, you hated your whole weekend after that because you spent the rest of the time
keep
playing it again.
Keep all your passwords. Never throw them out. You never know. Right?
I used to have different people write my passwords down because sometimes I didn't want to be responsible for screwing it up if I couldn't get to a level.
No doubt. So yeah, I went with the first one, although I'm really digging the second one, the Adventure of Link. I bought it on my Nintendo 3DS, the eShop, and definitely an underrated game. But this is the one with the overhead camera where you're like slashing monsters and whatnot. And
yeah, the sword fighting bit for its time again was awesome. I just loved it.
Yeah, no doubt. Lots of secrets. It's one of the first games I can think of that had that many secrets where you could push a block or burn a bush or whatever and you'd find that.
Yeah.
Man, that's a good feeling when you get that noise. Like, oh, what's gonna be in there? Is it bombs?
Yeah.
Is it monies? It's usually bombs or money.
Yeah.
You got your dungeons. Dungeons are cool. It was like a giant tree trunk thing with a big opening. You're walking in, you're like, oh jeez. Suddenly you're finding maps and compasses and whew. I almost want to jump it up higher, but yeah, it's my number 10 for now. Alright. So,
and it's actually that game, we don't need to really talk about it anymore because it's my number 9. It just, again, the same, everything that you talked about there, Steve, it's all the same stuff. I mean, it just, I remember battling through goblins and doing all that. So what I'm going to do is take the time to do a little bit of a shout out to what I was thinking about putting into my top 10 list, which would have been Fester's Quest. Same type of idea. You know, it was more obviously Addams Family oriented, so it was a lot more goblins and things.
Hardly was though. You wouldn't even know it was an Addams Family game if they didn't make it.
Fair enough. I mean, there was likenesses, but I mean, as far as gameplay, they could have labeled it anything else, and it would have still been just as good. A lot of the things that were intriguing about the game frustrated me at the same time.
Oh yeah, it's a hardcore game for hardcore gamers. That's for sure.
And all that kind of stuff, and the weaponry didn't always work in certain areas because
you get that
some of your guns were spinning and they couldn't spin in the areas that you're in if you're going through the mazes, and it was just a big pain in the ass.
Dude, green slimes, man. You kill the green slime, breaks into 3 more green slimes. Like, god damn it!
I know.
Your ball thing is not flying into them. You're just no.
Yeah, and I just remember doing the same levels over and over and over again. I guess because I put so much emotional energy into it, that's why it's in my shout out.
Yeah, this is definitely a nostalgia goggle shout out.
For sure.
Because people on the YouTubes, they kind of hate Fester's Quest. But, you know, they're scrubs. They don't know.
It's true. It's true.
They just don't know.
They didn't put the time in. They didn't put the time into the real game to understand it.
Yeah, that's what they taught you about back then. It's like, these games, you'll probably only get 1 a year, maybe. Because, you know, you kids these days with your whatevers and your apps where you're pushing, swiping and whatnot, you don't have buttons anymore. What's up with that? But, man, back in our day, we didn't have that stuff. We had, like, 1 game, maybe a year. So you better hope you like your Fester's Quest, because that's what you got.
And the games at the time were very expensive per unit. So I mean, it was something that
actually about the same price, but some like the battery pack ones, those would be pretty good.
I just remember getting, you'd get a system maybe at Christmas, and then you'd get, you know, a game on your birthday, and then you'd be saving up allowance money, you know, to go buy other games, doing everything you could to convince your parents to get you stuff. You know, you'd even try. I think I remember, you know, slipping it into the shopping cart when we were out one time, and it didn't work, but I tried.
Yeah. Oh yeah, all kids love you, man. She'll never notice. And it's like another $100 or so. Wait a minute. Yeah. Smack! Yeah. Hitting was okay back then. Woo. Alright, I guess while we're still doing shoutouts, it's not an official one, but one of my first shoutouts we'll do. We've done Zelda 2, mentioned that. I'm going to throw out Startropics in there. A game I don't think either of us ever really played. Did you ever play Startropics?
Once with you.
Did we? I don't remember it at all. But it's that same sort of idea. You're looking down, you get like a yo-yo for a weapon.
Yeah.
And much like original Zelda or Fester's Quest. Man, I love comparing Fester's Quest to the original Zelda. Feels good. Think about that. I can't say anything more than that, but it's on my list because, you know, it's aged well, nostalgia-wise. I'm hearing people talk about Startropics all the time. Alright, but that's enough of that. Let's talk about you've talked your number 9, so my number 9. It's Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I mean, come on, right? Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. It's a brilliant game. It's not...
It was ahead of its time.
Yeah. Period. I like that it was... I think Nintendo had some of the best sports games of any generation.
I think so too.
Because we're going to mention a couple others on like your shadow list and my shadow list, but I guess because they had less to work with, so they sort of had to just boil it down to the basic principle of the sport, and I think that really games are so complicated now. It's just like, well, why do you need all this? Like this, you're a dude, you know, like, and then you fight these giant boxer guys who are huge, and it was so much bigger.
It was an over-the-shoulder, almost like a first-person view. So
yeah,
it wasn't, you know, you were doing the 8-bit 2D kind of people coming side by side. You were actually behind Lil Mac.
That's an awesome camera
and it was just a phenomenal camera angle. I mean, it's a camera angle that gets used all the time now in all your first-person shooters and all that stuff. But that was one of the games that started it out.
The original arcade game. I don't know if you knew this was an arcade game originally.
Whoa, man.
But it actually had the same thing, but the camera was more like Super Punch It, but it was even closer down, and you couldn't see your person, you just saw this wire frame.
Whoa.
So that was pretty weird.
Cool. So it would be like Super Punch It.
But yeah, some people have called this game super racist. What you think about it? You know, like.
Yeah, but I mean, people.
It's fun racism though, because there's all the races are there, right?
Right.
You know, Soda Popinski, he was like Soda Vodka-insky or something. Vodka something or other. Because he was obviously just like this crazy drunk Russian guy.
Yeah.
But they changed it to like soda instead of, you know, vodka. You know, they cleaned up, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, it was the
Being an adult now, though, don't you love finding out about that sort of thing? Just like,
Yeah.
oh man, think about it.
Well, and it was something that to be
They
honest,
had balls back then.
it would have never crossed our mind otherwise unless we looked into that. I mean, it wasn't anything that affected us or made us any different at all, which was, I think, the greatest thing about Nintendo games is it just didn't, there wasn't as much for us to emotionally invest in and sort of not be able to exist in reality with these games because they were video games and we knew that, so there was a difference.
It's funny that they have Mike Tyson in this. So you know there's that Punch-Out where there is no Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
He plays with Mr. Dream.
And Mr. Dream is the last character, and that's the one I really remember playing.
He's like, poof, dead. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
You can't even hit him for the first minute and a half. If you watch like on a different YouTube, don't watch other YouTube channels, watch this channel. But if you watch people trying to beat him, they say you can't even hit him at first. You gotta wait. So it's definitely like, this is also the age of like the Nintendo Power strategy guide sort of thing, because we didn't have the internet back then.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Nintendo Power is gone now, but it was so popular back then. Because there was really no other option. Especially if you wanted to beat a game like this. So great characters. I liked how the other boxes were a lot bigger than your boxer, just because you could see them and you could really, get what they were and who they were.
Yeah.
And, like you got your super macho man guys who are just super ultra buff, and then smaller guys are like the tiger guy who would teleport around. Just you never knew what was coming next.
And great character development too. Like it was really.
Yeah, and you see him. It's like Rocky, because you're like, you're running and you got the coach guy on the bike in front of you. It's like that's great.
Yep.
Excellent. All right, well, hit us with your number 8 then.
My number 8 has to be Ninja Turtles 2. I really wanted to put it up higher, but I just didn't think it could.
Dude, it's higher on my list.
It would be high on my list because of the time we spent playing it, but it's number 8 because I sucked at it.
Really?
I got better as the years went by, but it was just my development as far as playing that game. I thought it was great, and it was actually really easy to play. I just never really had a whole lot of luck with it.
Yeah,
but
well, it's based on an arcade game, but that's kind of the best thing about it. Like I said before, it's like it's the simplistic gameplay that I think is one of the Nintendo's greatest strengths.
Yeah, and
so you don't have to worry about it. You're just off you go. You know what you're doing. Pretty much as soon as you push each button, you got an attack button, a jump button, you're moving around. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean, it was for me. It was. I still think about it now, and I look at the graphics compared to. Some of the stuff on the, not the newest systems obviously, but some of the later systems, Sega Genesis, Super NES, all that kind of stuff. The graphics still hold up quite well.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it looked better in the arcade, and it is, like I said, based on an arcade game. I think they did a phenomenal job on that.
Absolutely.
That's in my thing too, so we'll talk a little bit more about it then, but I just want to say music. Man! Music from Konami. Well, any Konami game really, but like the Turtles music, oh, so good.
I know.
So good. I'm probably gonna edit in music for each game as we go through it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Chances are they're listening to the music right now and they're like, oh, this music is great. They're just so pumped.
Awesome.
I was playing on, those PS2 Ninja Turtles games where you can unlock like old games?
Yeah.
I was playing one of them, and I think I unlocked Turtles in Time, the arcade game, but they changed the music, and the music they just replaced it was just garbage, and it was just like, oh, you would not believe how much of a difference it makes when you have crappy music over a game.
Oh, it totally makes a difference. Because it's the music that got you pumped. You had the boss music, you had everything. You just knew you were in for it when the music changed.
And of course, our generation, Ninja Turtles, come on.
I still watch Ninja Turtles on the Retro Cartoon Channel, the cartoon that we grew up with around the same time.
It's
always.
It's a silly show, like Krang and Shredder. People call them a gay couple sometimes.
But it was
I don't want to think that way, but you know, yeah, I can kind of see how they would go there. But
it was great though. It was
the way
still
they
awesome.
bicker, like they're supposed to be the villains, and I don't know. It was a simpler time back then.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there was just a working relationship. Oh, all right. Now my what are we up? Number 7? No, 10, 9, 8. Man, it's gonna be a long video. We might break this down to a couple pieces.
Yeah.
Because now these are busy people. They don't have all day, and they'll want to stay tuned if we break it up.
Well, why don't we do? We could do.
But we're gonna do them all
10 to
today.
5.
No, we're.
Yeah.
They won't know.
Okay.
All right. So my next game, 10, 9, 8. I actually just bought before we started this because I didn't have it in my collection. I thought I did. I'm pretty sure you have it in your collection. And I want to have at least one RPG. I was tempted to do Final Fantasy or Dragon Warrior, which are on my shadow list. But there was so much grinding back then. You know what I mean? It's like you get to a boss, you're fighting for like 10 minutes, and he kills you. You're like, oh jeez. And then you find out later that you're like 10 levels short of kicking his ass. You're just like, oh. I mean, it's good games, amazing graphics. Like I was looking at the sprites of the Final Fantasy bad guys. They are elaborate, very elaborate. Designs. But for the grinding and the random battles that you get every like 5 seconds, you just want to see what's in the next room, and then you're just like, oh jeez, here we go again. Gets tired. So the RPG I chose that I just bought today, $29.95.
Oh no way!
Did you forget about this one?
I almost did until right now.
Forgot about it. It almost doesn't count because this is based on a PC game, but we're talking about games that are also based on arcade games.
But
So I'm throwing out their Maniac Mansion for the Nintendo. Alright. In pretty good shape too. I haven't tested this out, I haven't cleaned it up or anything. Battery backup. Did you know that these gold things on the back, if they're gold, that means there's a battery backup?
ooh,
Yeah, so if it's just like the gray one, that usually means there's going to be a password, like Punch Out here, which you need passwords for, but if it just has the gold, it means you're pretty much good to go.
cool.
I think that's it. Yeah, Maniac Mansion, man, this game is intense. Yeah, it's the story of a bunch of dudes, you know, teens from like probably the early 90s or something. You got the surfer dude, the rocker girl, the nerd, the jock, the music guy. And the main character guy is just your average Joe. And his average Joe girlfriend gets kidnapped by like, a crazy scientist, and he locks her up in the dungeon basement of a giant mansion. Dude, this is great. I was looking this game up online yesterday, and I was reading that the mansion of Maniac Mansion was based off of Skywalker Ranch's main ranch.
Cool.
Because it's like a Lucasfilm game. Right. It's brought by Jalico here, but obviously the original PC game was done by Lucasfilm. That's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
And so yeah, basically you pick your 3 characters. That's what I love about this. Like people have been saying this game, The Walking Dead, is like 2012's game of the year. I'm like, no, it's not. Like this is a different video altogether. I just want to throw this out there because you can't. Like, there's no reason to replay The Walking Dead because it doesn't matter what choice you pick because you're always going to be thrown down the same path, and that's what really pissed me off about that game. That's a different video, but this game, like, there's 10 different endings, right? You can. Like eventually you find out there's a meteor with like a mind and talks, and there's tentacles and all this stuff. But the paths you take, the items you find as you eventually get into the mansion, like you find a key under the mattress to go through, and anytime you talk to one of the people who live in the mansion, they just throw you in the like the dungeon. And you find like one of the bricks on the wall of the dungeon you touch, and you're searching every damn block, and man, that's hardcore.
Definitely. Absolutely.
Maybe
That's why we were so happy to have the extra battery backup, so you could save the thing instead of having to write a code down all the time because you spent so much time digging through that and doing everything.
And then you find the block, right? And it's like, oh, there's a key or something, and then there was like a button you push it, and then I don't remember, like there's
the stairway came up and all that stuff.
Something like that. Like at one point you're developing film, at one point you're taking a dude's hamster and maybe you're putting it in the microwave, maybe you aren't. Don't put it in the microwave, because that dude will kill you if he finds out you just microwave his hamster.
But
you're finding.
I'm admitting right now, and I'm blowing this one open. We put the hamster in the microwave quite a few times.
Well, you gotta try at least once. Just the shock. I was like, well, can I? What? Can oh, turn on microwave? No. Oh. Like, oh. No.
See, nowadays you wouldn't be able to have that in a game without a animal rights warning or something. But.
PETA. You monsters.
Yeah. So hey, PETA, it's just a video game. Don't come after us for playing it.
Oh yeah. That'd be good publicity though. See, there's no bad publicity.
It's true.
And even the music, man. Remember how each character had their own little theme song? Boom, 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 boom. Sweet. Anything else you want to throw in there?
No, I mean, I think you covered it all.
Yeah, I think we've sort of aptly described it. It's a point-and-click adventure game. You'd normally see this kind of a game on a PC, but it's just amazing that they had it on the Nintendo and that it worked as well as it did. And yeah, definitely look this up. Like I said, I had to buy it. I paid $30 for this. Normally, I don't like spending that much on like an NES game, but it's like for this video and for just collecting sake, I guess you win this round, Pawn Store.